I will never stop doing YouTube like it's 2008. I've been on YouTube a long time, since before 2008, on a bunch of different channels doing a bunch of different things. And my favorite era of all time, even, more so than me being full-time on YouTube right now, my favorite era of YouTube was from about 2008 till 2011, early half 2012. That time was chock full of new people discovering they can just make videos and upload them and share them to the world, and discovery. And we'll come back to that word. I think that word means a lot, and the definition of it has kind of changed. But it was a wonderful time. It was, you had the early gaming videos of gameplay commentaries. You had kind of a second generation by that point of kind of comedy skit-ish YouTubers. You had second generation of vlogs and discovering what a vlog actually was. You had the very first beauty and like makeup haul and clothing haul kind of videos. Everyone was just learning how to share what they loved in video form and realizing that the tools to do it were every year becoming more and more accessible to them. They were more and more at their disposal, be it due to the pervasiveness of smartphones, due to cheap camcorders and cameras, the DSLR revolution, to microphones suddenly coming with USB ports on them and being cheaper than ever. With the Blue Snowball and Samsung Q9 or Q2U and things like that. It felt like such a pure and incredible time because everyone was just learning and discovering that we could just talk. We could just have a conversation. We could just share what we care about and post videos on it, and that people would watch them. And eventually, monetization came into play. And that started changing lives too, because suddenly people were able to start getting paid for their videos to just make videos at home. They didn't need an employer. They didn't need an agency, a middle ground, although some of the gaming stuff definitely needed MCNs at the time. So you also had, machinima contracts and people who got entire jobs going to work for MCNs at companies like Machinima or Rooster Teeth or Maker, a lot of different places like that. And their lives changed. They went from just kind of working whatever jobs they were doing, having aspirations to either talk about, share, do the thing that they're making videos on, or to get into media. And media is not the most accessible field prior to YouTube. It was move to New York or Hollywood and hope you manage with no job security, no some of the most expensive areas to live with no guarantee that you'll even find a job in the first place. It ruined a lot of people. And this was kind of making up for that in a way. It was handing jobs back out to people to work for themselves to pursue these dreams. And obviously, a world erupted from that. But when it comes to the act of posting, when it comes to making the videos, everything was so much more chill. It was all focused on just the enjoyment of it, the casual nature of being a random person who's just making videos and talking to people and interacting and learning to connect with other people online and discovering, perhaps even for the first time, that there are other people that are struggling with the things you're struggling with or believe in the things you do and that you can reach them or be reached by them. You could hear strangers over the internet that felt like they could be your best friend, which had its own consequences over time, but people that felt like they could have been a friend, talking about their life, about their worries, about the things they're excited for, and you relating to that. And for a lot of people, I know it saved a lot of lives, and I know it brought joy or brought peace to a lot of people who were perhaps struggling through the day, but then they got to get home and watch these very just laid back videos that kind of took them away from it all or showed them that they weren't alone with this, that, or the other. But after that first half of 2012, things really changed a lot. It's all about, it became quickly all about optimization, all about driving the most clicks, because YouTube itself, a lot of people, when they talk about this, these videos are very popular on the internet right now, on YouTube. When people talk about this, a lot of what they talk about is blaming the individual. People got too greedy. People focused too much on money. People It was media organizations that started taking over and posting to YouTube. It's the talk show hosts that invaded our space. And while, yeah, those things happened, and those are kind of characteristic of the times too, I don't think it's fair to purely look at things through that lens and blame people in that way, because they were kind of pushed into it. Like, everyone has to compete on YouTube now and focus on optimization, because otherwise you do not get seen 9 times out of 10, 9.9 times out of 10, if you want your work to be seen. And not everyone does. Art has value, even if it's not seen by anyone else other than its creator. And I guess arguably, even if it's not seen by its creator, art still has value there. But if you want to be seen, if you want to be heard, if you want to connect with others, to reach others, you have to optimize in some way. You have to participate. And, first it was search engine optimization, then it was custom thumbnails, and now it's this whole world of click-through rates and retention optimization and sanitizing everything to appeal to the most amount of people and do it the Mr. Beast way and whatever. There is a lot going on. None of those are directly to blame on an individual. It is the platform that changed. We used to have a homepage that was divided into categories and sorted by relevance and what was getting the most views in the moment. We used to have a focus on the subscriptions feed where you chose what you wanted to watch and then you were given those videos. We still have a subscriptions feed, but barely anyone uses it now because YouTube continued to derank it and obscure it and focus on other things over and over. Because just like everyone wants to blame Mr. Beast for, YouTube decided to go all in only on the things that drove the most clicks, because it is a for-profit business. It is not a community. YouTube made so many changes starting around the end of 2012 that pushed everyone to have to focus on these things, to have to focus on click-through rates and retention, and for a little while there, longer viewing sessions with greater than 10-minute videos to shorter videos again, back to longer videos, all of these trends in optimizing for a quote-unquote algorithm. And it's easy and frequent that people will say, don't worry about the algorithm, just optimize for people. But YouTube 100% manipulates and massages that whenever they make a change that shifts what is featured. If there was some magic black box of an algorithm that only cared about what people cared about, theoretically that kind of statement would hold true. But that statement is inherently false due to 2 things. The first is, you're not choosing what you want to watch most of the time anyway. Most people, even ones watching right now, are not pulling up a subscriptions feed or typing a very specific thing into the search bar. And even the search bar is completely neutered these days. They're not seeking out a specific thing. They are opening up a feed of recommendations, being handed suggestions, and choosing from a suggestion. Continuing to insist that something is driven purely by what the viewer wants when you are telling the viewer what they want or inherently filtering their options is it's a fallacy. It is not a true statement. But also, secondly, YouTube does massage the algorithm to get desired results. Whether it's they have levers that they pull, and they announce these publicly, to be fair. Like, they have the YouTube creators channel, they have things in the dashboard, but they will announce, hey, we're going to experiment with this. And it's things that showcase specific type of thumbnails. It's things that showcase or derank effectively. They don't like that word, but effectively derank videos that perhaps people are skipping ad spots on. If the magic black box algorithm existed and it was purely based on viewer behavior, those videos would still be performing as they were because people were still watching them. They were just, skipping through this little section. When YouTube starts deranking those videos over this one thing, that's no longer the people choosing that. The video stopped being shown to people, even if the people wanted them. So it's this whole thing, this whole nebulous idea of what YouTube is these days. That it wasn't that way in 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011. The most controversial thing, other than getting custom thumbnails, that was going on around this time was YouTube used to have, and they still exist, but they're not used for anything. YouTube had categories. You could categorize your video. You can do this right now. If you edit a video, you can go down to the advanced tab. They basically completely hit it. Like I said, they don't use it for anything. But you can choose a category for your video. pets and animals, education, gaming, whatever. For gaming, you can choose the specific game you're playing, so that has some value. For education, there's some information you can put in that might help search that has some value, but for the most part, they completely ignore it. Back in the day, they had different category things you could search on the website. So you could go to youtube.com and click categories and be like, I want to watch videos about animals. And it would serve you that. However, this is where you can blame some individuals. A couple of individuals in the Call of Duty community had what they called a giveaway extravaganza, where they would just film themselves going up to a GameStop or a Walmart and buying out all the PS3s and Xbox 360s and giving them away to viewers. And they would constantly make the homepage, because everyone wanted, everyone was thirsty for a free game console. And they manipulated things to stay on the homepage, because every time their video started falling off of the homepage, off of the number 1 slot, they would change the category. And suddenly, that video would be the most popular video in a new category and still be on the homepage. And it was this big self-feeding cycle that went on arguably for months. It felt like a long time. In retrospect, it was probably only a few months. It felt like a whole year. But it went on for a fair bit. And they made tons of money from that, because they already were enabled for monetization, and they were just paying themselves a whole bunch, and that's how they were able to afford to keep buying all these game consoles to give away. And eventually YouTube had to step in and be like, all right, we have to change categories so that they can't be gamified. And so there is a push and pull there, where you can blame individuals for gaming the system, and thus YouTube has to kind of answer that and try to work around that. But ultimately, it is the paradigm of YouTube. Even if you don't want to blame like the employees or the website itself, it is just the paradigm that has shifted on the website that is to blame on some high level for why things are different. It's not because people got greedy. It's because the system changes and demands something different. Which is why you could spend the next 5 years uploading old school style videos. And even though everyone's claiming that this is a new lo-fi, quote-unquote, authenticity-focused era of YouTube coming up, you could do that, and if you're not lucky enough, if you don't play the game enough behind the scenes in less obvious ways, whatever, you could still never get views, because YouTube isn't just magically going to start optimizing for these videos, because that's counter... that's a contradiction. They're not going to you can't optimize videos that you're not going to optimize. Like there's no way for them to surface this if you're not playing the game. And it's this really frustrating place to be in. And I think that's why so many people now are doing second channels like this one. This is a tertiary channel to what I'm doing. This is a continuation of what I've done since 2006, by all means. I've got videos captured with Bandicam and Hypercam and edited in Windows Movie Maker and whatever from back in the day. I've been doing this for a very long time. This is a continuation of that. But it's a new channel I started a couple years ago because I wanted to go back to this older style of video and get it out for my creative expression. I'm still doing my day job, which, to be fair, I am grateful that I am, in a privileged position enough that my job is still YouTube focused. But I can't just abandon that. I can't just abandon the strategy there. And even here, there's strategy and optimization. It's just less obvious. But I can't just walk away from that and start posting these videos and expect to sustain myself, because it's not possible. I just want people to have a realistic expectation here. You're not going to make it super far just on that kind of content without playing the game, moving the chess pieces in some way. I think it's worth it if it's authentic to you. I think a lot of people don't know what authenticity means these days. And so they really want to pretend that just doing a thing is authentic, like holding a microphone on camera, or holding your phone instead of a microphone on camera, or shooting on your phone instead of a camera, or making these kinds of videos. A lot of people think this is quote unquote authentic. It's only authentic if it's authentic to you. If this is what you've been wanting to make, or have made, or want to make, yeah, it's authentic. But if you want to make the other stuff, some higher production value stuff, that is still 100% authentic. Whatever is true to you is authentic. And so a lot of people get caught up in that. And it's not about it's not about appearing like you're doing a lo-fi thing. That's not inherently more authentic. It's just about doing what's true to you. And for a lot of us, especially us older folk, who were once the young folk doing this on YouTube, this is the authentic thing to do. And so this is what we're going to do on the side. But it's important to keep it on the side as long as possible, because the second you try to go all in on it, you're going to get stressed by the numbers and the competition and playing the game. And it's not going to be the same anymore. And it is really hard to balance that. Hope you enjoyed this discussion. We've got more like it coming soon. This is my series Liminal Musings here on the Lost Saves channel. I am Addy. You can find my other channels and all my other stuff in the description and whatever. Go check out the rest of the series if you like this kind of video, because that's one way that you can send cues to YouTube that you like this kind of stuff and you want to see more of it, is to watch a bunch of it back to back. Helps out the channel as well. But otherwise, you're going to watch that one off and YouTube's like, I don't have a clue what this video is, and either just serve you more Call of Duty 4 videos or videos with a similar title, or YouTube's just going to forget about it and not show you anymore. So maybe go check that playlist. Watch some more. Appreciate you. Remember to be kind. Rewind.